Well, it's official. T.I. have a huge problem on their hands. And I told y'all.
The tension between T.I. and 50 Cent had been building for weeks, and people online could feel it up more every day. Few expected things to spiral into something this serious.
Just when we all thought that 50 Cent bowed out in his feud with T.I., he said, think again. 50 Cent took to his Instagram early as hell this morning to say that he is thinking about a documentary about the that surround T.I. and I ended up catching this post before 50 Cent deleted it.
What started as another chapter in a typical rap rivalry suddenly became a much bigger and more complicated story when 50 Cent made a move to shock the internet and left many staring at their screens in disbelief. At first, fans treated the back and forth like pure entertainment, with supporters on both sides watching every post, comment, and subtle jab online, and some even felt T.I. was holding his ground in the feud.
But the tone changed quickly when 50 Cent posted something on Instagram that immediately grabbed across social media. Let's get into it.
Well, it's official. T.I. have a huge problem on their hands. And I told y'all this was about to happen last week. Roll the clip.
In early March 2026, he shared a screenshot announcing a documentary project, Surviving T.I., and the post disappeared shortly after it went up, but screenshots spread across the internet within minutes. When people referencing more than 20 of inappropriate behavior reportedly connected to T.I. and his wife, it instantly became much more serious. From there, things escalated quickly.
Wait, so you telling me the reason that 50 Cent has been quiet on the whole T.I. beef is because he's back and planning to do another documentary on T.I. and his wife and their essay that they've been... This is about to get ugly.
Anyone familiar with 50 Cent knows he has a history of turning online drama into full projects, often sparking huge debate and controversy. So when viewers saw the documentary, even briefly, many didn't see it as a simple joke, but more like a warning that something bigger might be developing behind the scenes.
But now, since 50 posted that he's doing the documentary, maybe you believe him. He just posted it this morning. But anybody in the loop knows that T.I. have had several of essay over the past years, and it's just been swept under the rug. So when T.I. made 1 million songs dogging 50 Cent and his son came out talking about dig his dead mom.
To understand why that moment hit so hard online, you have to rewind the clock, because the tension between these two rap figures didn't start recently. The between 50 Cent and T.I. has been simmering for nearly 20 years. At first, it looked like normal hip-hop, with New York energy going head-to-head with Atlanta Pride, a regional rivalry that has always been part of the culture. For a while, it stayed mostly lyrical and industry-related, but things became more personal around 2008 when 50 Cent began publicly accusing T.I. after a legal case involving firearms.
He showed the report of different news claiming that he was reportedly developing a Surviving T.I. documentary. 50 said, "Remember how quiet I got before the Diddy doc? Thought I wasn't coming. I hope this doesn't mess up your promo tour. They're gonna ask about your 20 SA cases. You might want to talk to your crisis PR person." And honestly, I just had a feeling that 50 Cent was about to move this way, because if you didn't know, there was 30 women that did come forward in 2021 through 2024 with against.
The traces back to October 2007, when T.I. was arrested during a federal related to an attempt to purchase machine guns and silencers, a case that could have led to a very serious sentence if convicted. In the end, I served about a year, but this remained a frequent topic in rap for years, especially since 50 Cent referencing it in interviews and music. One lyric from a G-Unit track even hinted at the idea that someone could be caught with major weapons and receive a surprisingly short sentence, and that line followed T.I. for years, whether he responded to it or not.
You had to be a fool to think 50 wasn't gonna expose what's already out there to people who are in the know, and it gets crazier. It's already been known that there are 30 women, at least, that have had of being kidnapped, rugged, raped. Y'all know what those words mean. And 50 Cent is saying he got 20 of them, and this Surviving T.I. coming. After all my that have come true, even when I said this, you had people saying, oh no, ain't no, that one case got dismissed. It's 30 people out there. You talking about one case that T.I. got dismissed because for one, they allegedly paid the judge off. That was the rumor, but it was released because of statute, not because they were found to be innocent.
Eventually, the tension cooled, and both mostly stopped speaking about each other publicly. But around 2020 and 2021, the rivalry began up again when T.I. repeatedly suggested the two should face off in a versus battle, the online music event where go head-to-head by playing their biggest hits. T.I. seemed excited about the idea and ready for the matchup, but 50 Cent kept brushing it aside as if it wasn't worth it. Each the topic came up, he pushed it off. But during Super Bowl weekend in February 2026, T.I. appeared on the Nightcap podcast and made a comment that reignited this, claiming that 50 Cent had once agreed to do the versus battle before later backing out.
I don't like the 50 Cent and T.I. beef. I don't like this beef. This beef don't feel right. It feels already too personal, and it feels like it can get violent. It feels like somebody could get themselves hurt in this beef. I don't like it. I definitely don't like the kids involved. If I was T.I., I would have tell his sons to fall back. Fall back. You know what I'm saying? I don't think 50 Cent is a dude you should play with in certain, you know what I'm saying? Definitely not the kids, because the kids, you know, especially the young one, he talking crazy reckless. You know what I'm saying? Talking about 50 Cent's deceased moms and all that kind of stuff. That ain't hip-hop.
During the interview, T.I. joked that his rival had ducked the smoke, and that comment spread across the internet almost instantly. Blogs picked it up, fans began it, and the clip circulated widely online. It didn't take long for 50 Cent to respond, but instead of answering through music, he turned to social media, where it happened immediately. First, he reposted an old Crime Stoppers public service announcement featuring T.I., bringing back long-running about with it. Then, he followed it with another post that pushed the drama even further. On February 22, 2026, 50 shared an image of Tamika Harris, T.I.'s wife, making fun of her appearance. The post quickly triggered backlash online, and the feud began rapidly.
Wait, so you telling me the reason that 50 Cent has been quiet on the whole T.I. beef is because he's back and planning to do another documentary on T.I. and his wife and their essay that they've been... This is about to get ugly. Listen to this. I don't think T.I. want 50 Cent to bring up 2005, where this talks about rapper T.I. and accused of rugging and raping a woman in a new lawsuit. Now, this lady was actually a veteran, Air Force veteran. She was in LA. She was out. She said gave her a few drinks. And shortly after that, she accompanied the couple to a hotel with two other unknown women. Now, the drink made her dizzy.
T.I.'s son, King Harris, soon went on Instagram Live to defend his mother, and his became one of the most talked about moments because he was a deeply personal part of 50 Cent's past. King referenced the tragic passing of Sabrina Jackson, 50 Cent's mother, who died in 1984 when he was only 8 years old, which intensified the tension even further. The internet watched everything unfold in real, with strong pouring in from fans, bloggers, and hip-hop commentators. Then, another moment added more heat to this. On February 24, T.I. posted a video dancing with his mother while her birthday, and one of his diss tracks could be heard playing in the background. Many viewers interpreted the clip as a subtle jab connected to the feud. Around the same, another twist appeared when Damani Harris, another of T.I.'s sons, released a diss track, Miss Jackson, adding another layer to the already messy president. But the moment that really made hip-hop observers pause came during a diss-related video where King Harris appeared wearing a shirt printed with an image of Sabrina Jackson. Some commentators immediately said that crossed the line that rap battles usually avoid. Through all the arguments and online, one detail stood out. 50 Cent stayed mostly quiet. For people familiar with his career, that silence didn't look like defeat, but more like a strategic pause, as if he were for the right moment to respond. Then the Instagram screenshot in the documentary suddenly appeared online and disappeared almost as quickly, but by then the message had already spread widely across the internet. That project pointed toward that first gained widespread public years earlier. Those claims began widely in January 2021 when entrepreneur Sabrina Peterson, who said she previously knew the couple,
and I die in the street about this shit, man. This shit dead serious to me. And then when I do rap shit, man, this shit is full of this.
Publicly accused T.I. of threatening her during an incident she said happened in 2009. According to Peterson, after she shared her claims, many people began her with their own stories connected to the couple. She said dozens of messages arrived from individuals who wanted to share their experiences. Several women described where they said they were invited to private or hotel gatherings linked to the pair. Some later claimed those nights took an uncomfortable turn, with a few describing involving substances and encounters they said they did not fully agree to. As the spread online in early 2021, the issue quickly gained. By March of that year, attorney Tyrone A. Blackburn publicly stated that he was individuals who said they had claims related to those alleged events.
On the low, but everybody knows.
There it is. 50 is clapping back at T.I. You know what? He's clapping back at the whole Harris family again.
Around the same, attorney Lisa Bloom also announced that she was two women who had come forward with. Some of the individuals making these claims later spoke with journalists, including reporters from the New York, where they described what they believed were similar patterns in their experiences. Letters were reportedly sent to law enforcement officials in both California and Georgia, asking to review and consider possible. In May 2021, the Los Angeles Police Department confirmed that an inquiry had been opened after reports were submitted. Later that same year, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office announced it would not pursue criminal charges, explaining that the incidents being reported were outside the legal limits required for. That brings the story back to the present moment, where a rivalry between two major rap figures built over decades suddenly collided with a much heavier controversy.
Your daddy made your mama eat every box in Atlanta, so he's not even talking directly. He's talking to one of his sons who is distant, right? He's talking to his family about, but not just, he's bringing it into yet again.
As the tension between 50 Cent and T.I. building, the older began resurfacing online again, which is why the brief documentary post triggered such a strong across social media. Back in 2021, the controversy had already started in the couple's public image in a way, including in television, as the VH1 reality series T.I. and Friends and Family Hustle eventually came to an end, while public discussion around the growing. Even after the show stopped airing, the legal discussions and public debate surrounding the claims did not disappear, and this developing quietly over the following years. Then, in January 2024, a new development appeared in court records when an Air Force veteran and legal documents as Jane Doe filed a lawsuit in California under the state's Sexual Abuse and Cover-Up Accountability Act, a law that temporarily allowed certain older claims to be filed in court, even if the usual legal deadlines had already passed.
And 50 also shared this posting that maybe there's a darker story here. Maybe there's something I need to expose like I did with my Diddy documentary. I'm sure 50 is well aware of this against Tiny from a few years ago when 12 women came forward claiming that they were drugged, that they were SA'd by the Harris family. Now, I will say that those were dismissed. It was deemed that it was past the statute, so nothing could be done about it. But 50 being 50, he's going to take the...
According to the lawsuit, the woman claims she met T.I. and Tamika Harris in the VIP of a Los Angeles nightclub in 2005. In the complaint, she alleged that she was given a drink that caused her to feel impaired, and that she was later taken to a hotel room where she said she experienced an encounter she did not agree to. The couple strongly denied and quickly asked the court to dismiss the case. Later that year, in August 2024, a judge granted the dismissal request after the did not respond to the legal filings submitted by the defense. Because there was no response, the lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice, meaning it could not be filed again in that same court. Throughout the controversy, T.I. and have consistently pushed back against the made against them. After the lawsuit became public, the couple released a statement saying they were
He's gonna troll, and he's gonna ask, is there smoke without fire? And after T.I. and his family used the angle trying to imply that 50 had his own house burned down with his baby mama in it, with his son in it, well, This is quid pro quo for 50. Things are definitely darker in this diss war. We'll see where we go from here.
Innocent of what they described as false claims and argued that this was an attempt to pressure them financially, while making it clear they were prepared to defend themselves in court if necessary. It is also important to note that no criminal charges were filed with those. While public debate online, the legal side of this moved through a much slower and more complicated process. At the same, another courtroom battle connected to the controversy began developing. In September 2024, T.I. filed a lawsuit in federal court against entrepreneur Sabrina Peterson, the same person who had previously spoken publicly about that legal case is moving through the system, and as of now, a trial date has been scheduled for June 2026, meaning the dispute has not been fully resolved yet.
This camp might have won the battle, but they ain't winning.
From a legal, this remains layered and complicated, with court dismissals, ongoing lawsuits, and public statements all shaping the official. Outside the courtroom, however, public opinion often moves in a very different, and that's where media coverage, especially documentaries, can strongly influence how audiences interpret a story. Unlike a courtroom, a documentary does not require a final verdict. Instead, filmmakers gather interviews, public records, and different to create it for viewers to consider. That is why the brief hint about 50 Cent's possible documentary project sparked such a strong online. The story might be presented to the public in a new way.
50 Cent is cooking up next. Just a few hours ago, 50 Cent went on a post and delete on his Instagram where he went out to post a picture of by saying, "Remember how quiet I got before the Diddy doc?"
In this, 50 Cent would be involved not as but as a producer, and his track record shows he understands how powerful storytelling can be in shaping public. Over the past several years, he has built not only as a rap star, but also as a major force in television and film through G-Unit Film and Television. Many of his projects combine entertainment with real-life controversy, a formula that often drives huge online discussions. Observers who follow his career closely say there is a clear pattern in how he builds hype around a project. It often begins with social media pressure through posts, jokes, or comments that immediately spark. From there, that starts forming publicly as blogs pick it up, fans debate it, and the story takes on a life of its own, with actual taking shape only later.
I was in comment. I hope this doesn't mess up your promo tour. They're gonna ask about your 20 S8 cases. You might want to talk to a crisis PR person. He then commented on his own post down below and commented by saying, "Fire new music today."
By the cameras begin rolling, audiences already feel familiar with the storyline. In many ways, the documentary becomes the final chapter of that has already been unfolding across social media and headlines. And some observers believe that exact pattern could be happening again now. On March 5, 2026, 50 Cent further by older footage connected to T.I.'s past legal troubles, including clips referencing a Crime Stoppers hotline appearance. Those posts quickly spread online and were widely interpreted as another attempt to revive the long-running that had been part of their feud for years. The posts immediately reignited debate across hip-hop online, with fans, bloggers, and commentators asking whether 50 Cent was simply trolling his long rival or the stage for something much bigger. People familiar with his career know he rarely moves without a strategy, and over the years, he has built for turning internet drama into full-scale entertainment projects. What might start as a single post can grow into a podcast discussion, a viral headline, and eventually a television series or documentary idea.
You getting new music from 50 Cent, or what is the play here?
That pattern is exactly why the brief appearance of the surviving T.I. and drew so much so quickly. Even though the Instagram post disappeared almost as fast as it appeared, screenshots had already spread across X, Instagram pages, and hip-hop blogs within minutes. Soon, people were whether the project was real, whether it was simply a message aimed at T.I., or whether it was a calculated teaser designed to spark. Supporters of T.I. argued that the move looked like a publicity stunt to their long-running rivalry, while others believed 50 Cent might be at a serious controversy surrounding the couple. Either way, they made one thing clear: the topic carried enormous public interest. And in the middle of all that noise, neither side appeared ready to step back. What began years ago as a musical rivalry had now expanded into social media clashes, legal headlines, and the possibility of a documentary spotlight that could push the conflict into a new arena.
50 Cent is responding to T.I. with a documentary is actually hilarious. Now he goes ahead to remind everybody that his silence speaks loudness. I think everybody know, man, that last he went quiet, things got
As the debate kept spreading online, another detail started drawing. 50 Cent never officially confirmed that the documentary was actually in. The Instagram post appeared, sparked a wave of, and then disappeared just as quickly, leaving many people wondering whether the move was part of a larger strategy. Over the years, 50 has shown a strong understanding of how the internet responds to controversy. A single post can trigger headlines, videos, and thousands of comments within hours. And once that momentum builds, the story almost begins itself. By the time an official announcement arrives, millions of people are already paying. That's why some media observers believe the brief documentary teaser may have been intended to test public. If it becomes loud enough, the demand for a project can create itself, that has worked before in entertainment, especially in an era where social media strongly influences what audiences want to watch. Meanwhile, the rivalry between the two rappers discussions across hip-hop platforms, with supporters on both sides who crossed the line and who was simply responding to disrespect. Old interviews, lyrics, and past moments between the were suddenly resurfacing and being analyzed again. This showed how a feud that began years ago through rap energy had evolved into something far bigger.
Years ago, T.I. on his Instagram page went on to post a reel about himself where he did by saying this: digging the vibes up top, yo. They showing mad love in New York, son. Oh, they rocking with the Billboard 2B. #1 on radio and in the streets and online. Hashtag let them know.
What once existed mainly in music had expanded into social media clashes, family, legal headlines, and the possibility of a documentary that could shape how the story is remembered. At one point, 50 Cent posted that read, "No, I don't like it. No verses. Let's do the stay away challenge and stay away from me. LOL." On the surface, it looked like classic trolling, the kind of playful jab fans have seen from him for years. But it also kept the larger controversy firmly in the spotlight and ensured that it didn't slow down. Media commentator Tasha K added even more to this when she posted on X on February 28, 2026, claiming that sources close to 50 Cent suggested he was developing the documentary project. According to her comments, the possible film would focus on the connected to the couple, and she warned that this could escalate further if the public feud growing. Around the same, 50 Cent also began releasing new music that some listeners believed contained subtle references to the conflict. One track connected to his Power Origins series included lyrics that fans quickly started analyzing, with many believing certain lines sounded like indirect shots at T.I.'s personal life and family dynamics. Then, on March 7, 2026, 50 released another track, "No More Tricks, No More Lies," featuring Max B.
And man, I don't know what type of #1 track is T.I. talking about, man. Like, what? Now, a lot of people in the comments are saying that 50 Cent is the real 5-0, and that he's going to cook up against T.I. is nasty work.
One line caught listeners because it seemed to touch on themes of public. While the song, 50 added a short that read, "I am the algorithm," a phrase that some observers felt summed up the strategy. For someone like 50 Cent, controlling the online can be just as powerful as releasing music. Many now believe the posts, songs, and documentary hints could all be pieces of one larger plan unfolding in public, focused on shaping the story before anyone else has the chance to define it. T.I., however, has not remained silent while all of this plays out. On March 5, 2026, he posted a video from the set of his Let 'Em Know music video shoot, responding directly to the growing and making it clear that he was ready for any type of whether through music or even documentaries. At the same time, T.I. kept the musical side of the feud alive by releasing a diss track, Trauma Bond, fans to immediately break down the lyrics and speculate about who each line was aimed at. One moment in his message stood out to many observers. T.I. suggested that if 50 Cent really wanted to release a documentary about him, he might have one of his own ready as well.
If that statement turns out to be serious, the rivalry could shift into a completely different type of showdown. Not just a battle through songs, but a clash through documentaries and media storytelling. One major surrounding this is whether T.I. has the same level of media reach that 50 Cent has built over the years. T.I. hinted that he might have a project in development, but he hasn't shared many details about what it would look like or where it would be released. Meanwhile, 50 already holds a significant advantage with a well-established network and a history of placing shows in front of massive audiences. That difference matters because this conflict didn't remain limited to two rappers exchanging comments online. The Harris family became involved in the drama, and each pushed the story far beyond a simple versus disagreement. The moment that truly shifted the tone came during King Harris's Instagram live broadcast, when he delivered in a response and directed deeply personal remarks at 50 Cent, referencing his late mother, Sabrina Jackson. As soon as those comments began online, across social media were immediate and intense. Some viewers argued that King was out of loyalty while defending his family, especially after earlier posts that mocked his mother. Others believe the remarks crossed a line that most rivalries try to avoid, since even in heated hip-hop feuds, someone's deceased parent is often considered off-limits. Several voices within the hip-hop community also weighed in. Boosie Badass, for example, publicly the move and said that bringing up someone's late mother during an argument is something that should never happen, regardless of how serious the conflict becomes. Opinions were divided, but one thing was clear: this had grown far beyond a typical rap rivalry. King wasn't the only family member responding to the drama either. Damani Harris, oldest son and a rapper himself, stepped into the moment through music and released a diss track, Miss Jackson, on February 27, 2026. Compared to the rapid online exchanges, the track added another layer to the unfolding feud. Damani's approach leaned more toward lyrical rather than personal attacks, focusing on bars and musical response instead of the kind of insults that were spreading across social media. Even with that approach, around the feud expanding. At one point, even Eris Harris, the young daughter of T.I., and briefly became part of the online chatter when she posted a video of herself singing that many viewers interpreted as a response directed at her mother. The clip itself appeared playful and lighthearted, but it showed just how far the conflict had spread across the family's public presence. Eventually, Harris addressed this directly through an Instagram message where she praised her sons for standing up for her and described them as her biggest flex. From her, they were about their family rather than taking things too far. His response later sounded more complicated when he discussed this during a podcast interview, explaining that he had tried for years to guide King away from moments online and often encouraged him to avoid public arguments. However, the feud seemed to give King a reason to ignore that advice. He also shared that there was a moment when he stepped in directly, especially after the controversial t-shirt incident referencing 50 Cent's late mother, and told King it was to stop. Later, while speaking with TMZ, T.I. explained his mindset during the conflict, without framing it as a victory over another rapper. He said it was deeply personal, and that his focus wasn't really about someone in a feud, but about making sure the women in his family felt protected and supported during this. That helped many fans understand why members of the Harris family reacted so once the drama began spreading across the internet.
Shit, nigga wanna say something about my mama? Your mama dead as fuck, nigga. Your mama dead as fuck. Go dig her.
At the same time, this also revealed a serious strategic problem. In conflicts like this, when people respond passionately to defend their family, those can create moments the other side might later use to their advantage. Observers watching the feud unfold that risk almost immediately. Some commentators even suggested that 50 Cent's legal team was likely paying close to the online exchanges, since in highly public disputes, every post, video, or comment can quickly become part of a much larger. Over those moments can influence how the story is perceived. Eventually, 50 Cent addressed this directly and referenced the remarks about his mother in a social media post. In his message, he reminded people that he lost his mother at a very young age, and by framing the issue in that personal way, the shifted, and some public sympathy began moving in his. At first, many people had treated the feud like just another moment in hip-hop culture. Even rapper Uncle Murda joked about this during an interview, before quickly himself and acknowledging that certain topics simply aren't something to laugh at. That moment reflected how the tone of it changed, as what began as entertainment was now being viewed much more seriously. As of March 8, 2026, no official documentary project had been publicly confirmed. Even without, however, the idea of the documentary spreading across the internet. Blogs, channels, and hip-hop commentators kept whether 50 Cent was seriously planning the project or simply using the rumor to apply pressure during the feud. In today's media environment, the possibility of a documentary can create nearly as much impact as the documentary itself. Part of the reason the idea gains so much is because 50 Cent has already proven he knows how to turn controversy into successful television. Through G-Unit Film and Television, he has helped produce major series connected to the Power franchise, along with several crime-focused documentaries and style projects. Because of that track record, many fans believe that if he truly wanted to create a documentary, he had the industry to make it happen. Meanwhile, the internet began digging through old interviews, clips, and connected to both. Supporters on each side started building their own about what the feud really represented. Some argued that 50 Cent was using media strategy to dominate while others believed T.I. was defending his after years of public controversy. The result was that the feud stopped being only about music and turned into a larger discussion about media influence and who controls when public figures clash. That shift is what makes this rivalry different from many rap battles in the past. Instead of diss tracks alone determining the outcome, the struggle for public opinion is unfolding across social media, interviews, and film projects. Every post, lyric, and response now contributes to how millions of people interpret the conflict. As this to develop, one thing became increasingly clear. The feud was no longer just about two trading insults, but about controlling the public. In today's digital world, shaping the story can matter even more than the original argument itself. Both sides appeared to understand that reality, with every post, interview clip, and new song quickly becoming part of the larger online. Fans analyzed lyrics, replayed live streams, and examined searching for hidden meaning, and within hours, a single message could turn into headlines across dozens of blogs and social media pages.
Post a picture of your motherfucking mama, nigga. She dead, nigga. Pay respect, nigga.
For 50 Cent, this kind of environment has often worked in his favor. Over the years, he has built it for using humor, sarcasm, and carefully posts to keep his name online. Some observers believe that even when he appears to be joking, there is often a deeper strategy behind his moves. On the other side, T.I. seemed focused on defending his while also standing firmly behind his family. His responses through music and interviews suggested that he was determined not to let online define him. Supporters pointed out that throughout his career, he has faced controversies before and managed to maintain a strong presence in hip-hop. Because of that, the conflict began to look less like a quick argument and more like a long chess match playing out in public view, where each move triggered another and pushed the story further into the spotlight. The biggest hanging in the air remains unanswered. If the documentary idea ever becomes a real project, it could push this already explosive rivalry into a completely new stage, where the story is told not through posts and lyrics, but through full-scale media storytelling. So far, no trailer has been released, and no television network or streaming platform has officially announced a project. At the moment, what exists is mostly mixed with 50 Cent's well-known history of turning bold ideas into real, which is exactly why people are watching this so closely. When a documentary enters the picture, it can shape public in powerful ways, and the outcome does not always depend solely on what happens in court. Even when legal cases end without charges or the story presented to millions of viewers can influence how someone is viewed. That leads to the big many people are asking, What happens if this documentary actually becomes real? If a project like that landed on a major streaming platform, the ripple effects could go far beyond a simple rap feud. For T.I., that could become especially complicated. His recent music projects, including his album Kill the King, could suddenly face renewed public, and concert promoters or event organizers might also feel pressure if controversy begins trending online. And like that, shows encounter backlash, protests, or even depending on public. Some observers also point out that T.I.'s business ventures could face increased. Projects like the Trap Music Museum and other entrepreneurial efforts are closely to his public brand. If a documentary brought past back into the spotlight, it could affect his career as well. T.I. has appeared in major films, including roles in the Ant-Man series, and studios are often when public controversies begin gaining online. Then there is Harris, whose career with the legendary R&B group Escape could also feel pressure if the story is expanding. In recent years, he has received renewed through Escape reunion performances, interviews, and media appearances, with the group's comeback shows bringing energy back to her career. However, if a high-profile documentary was suddenly released, that spotlight could quickly shift away from the music and back toward the that have followed the couple for years. At the same, some people point out another possible outcome. If a documentary were released and did not reveal anything new, that could easily swing in the opposite. T.I. has maintained a loyal fan base for many years, and many supporters have stood by him through legal challenges, prison, and periods of public controversy.
Y'all niggas raised, I'm not raised like that. I'm not going back my mama.
Because of that history, some fans believe a project like this could actually strengthen support for T.I. If viewers begin seeing a documentary as a personal attack rather than a balance of events, the backlash could shift toward the people behind it. Some supporters already feel that 50 Cent's moves are driven more by rivalry than genuine concern, often out that his online style blends humor, trolling, and calculated business strategy. Another moment earlier in the feud added to that. When T.I. responded publicly, he hinted at something that caught fans by Doc for Doc, that if a documentary appeared about him, he might have one ready from his side as well. Whether such a project actually exists is unclear, but even the idea of it has created the feeling of a media standoff between the two camps. For now, this sits in a strange pause. The diss tracks have slowed down, social media explosions have cooled off, yet the larger hangs in the air. At the moment, the story feels like it's in a quiet break before the next major move. The intense back-and-forth posts have faded, and the constant stream of diss tracks has slowed, but that silence doesn't mean the story is finished. Many observers believe it could simply be the calm before another big moment in the feud. In hip-hop history, rivalries have always played a major role in shaping careers and headlines, but what makes this different is how much of the battle is happening outside of music. Instead of only through lyrics and performances, both sides are now dealing with something larger: media influence and public. That's why the documentary angle keeps drawing. A film or streaming project can reach millions of viewers at once and introduce the story to audiences who may not follow rap feuds at all. For people outside hip-hop culture, a documentary could become their first impression of the. In today's streaming era, platforms are constantly searching for real-life stories that spark, and projects about celebrity controversies, rivalries, and legal battles often attract huge viewership because audiences want to see every side of the story unfold. For now, however, everything remains uncertain. No official project has been announced, no streaming service has confirmed involvement, and neither camp has revealed concrete plans. What currently exists is online hints and a long history between two who have never truly seen eye to eye. This has already proven one thing clearly: the rivalry between 50 Cent and T.I. has the power to dominate headlines. If a documentary eventually appears, it could transform this long-running feud into something far bigger than anyone expected.
Another reason the story is the long history both have with controversy, and over the years, 50 Cent and T.I. have each faced major public challenges, yet managed to rebuild their brands and remain relevant in the entertainment industry. 50 Cent, for example, from a chart-topping rapper into a major force in television, and his success with the Power universe showed that he understands how to turn storytelling into massive viewership. Because of that track record, many people believe that when he hints at a project, there is always a real chance it could eventually happen. T.I., on the other hand, built as one of the most voices in Southern hip-hop, helping shape the sound of Atlanta rap in the 2000s. His influence expanded beyond music into business ventures and community discussions about social issues. That broader presence is part of why the current controversy carries so much weight. When two figures with that kind of history collide again, the naturally grows larger than a simple disagreement. Fans aren't just lyrics or social media posts anymore, they're legacies.
What's wrong with you? Y'all just better got motherfucking shoes. Y'all just don't know who the fuck y'all fucking with.
Some supporters argue that this feud shows how energy thrives within hip-hop culture, while others believe it highlights how modern rivalries now unfold through media strategy, rather than only through music battles. Every live stream and interview becomes another piece of the ongoing storyline. For now, both sides seem to be watching each other closely, almost like two players for the next move in a chess match. The tension hasn't disappeared, it has simply shifted into a quieter phase where to build. If either side decides to make the next move through a major media project, it could erupt again overnight. At this stage, this turned into a game, with fans, bloggers, and industry insiders watching carefully to see which side makes the next major move. Even though the loud social media exchanges have slowed, the around the feud hasn't faded. In fact, the silence has made many people even more curious about what might happen next. One reason the story to hold is that both 50 Cent and T.I. understand how to keep the spotlight on them. Throughout their careers, they have shown a strong ability to stay relevant, even when music releases aren't the only focus, using interviews, business ventures, television projects, and viral online moments to keep their names in the headlines. Because of that, many observers believe the real battle may now be about who controls the moving forward. In today's digital culture, it can shift quickly depending on how a story is presented. A documentary, a viral interview, or even a series of posts can completely reshape how millions of people view it. For 50 Cent, media strategy has become one of his most powerful tools, while for T.I., the central focus appears to be his legacy and standing up for his family. When those collide, the conflict becomes about far more than a simple rivalry. That is what makes the so unpredictable. One announcement, one trailer, or one unexpected response could instantly push the story back into the global spotlight. Then, the feud sits in a strange space between silence and suspense. The posts may have slowed and the headlines may have cooled, but the tension remains for the moment when someone decides to make the next move and send it racing across the internet once again. The biggest hanging over everything is simple. Is that documentary actually coming? If it does appear, the next chapter of this story may not unfold through diss tracks or Instagram posts, but on a screen where millions of viewers can watch the story presented in a completely different way. And if that moment arrives, the impact could be huge, because a single documentary has the power to reshape how this feud is remembered. Then, and everyone is watching to see who makes the next move.
If you found this breakdown, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who follows hip-hop news and drama.